Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, we're going to be going over a 2021 Kia Seltos and the EX package. But first and foremost, a huge shout out and thank you to Jerry Steiner Kia here in South Salt Lake for giving me some time with the Seltos. Check out their inventory in the link below. Let's get into the video. Under the hood, we have a naturally aspirated 2-liter 4-cylinder that goes through an IVT automatic transmission. Power outputs are 146 horsepower and then 132 pound-feet of torque, with fuel economy being 27 around town and then 31 on the highway. Now let's go over the front end of the Seltos, which is definitely interesting from a design perspective. So first off, the first interesting cue right here, notice how you have this indentation here on the sides of the hood. Definitely gives it a unique look. And then since this is a 2021, you don't have the new Kia badge, you still have the previous badge. And then we've got these full LED accent lights, which I think look really, again, unique. And notice how it comes all the way through here into the grille area. And then we've got the projector bulbs for the headlights and then fog lights just down below. Notice you've got blacked out mesh there for the front grille, but then you have a lot of silver here, kind of like accent wise. It goes all around. And yeah, other than that, that's the front end of the Seltos. Coming around the side here, we've got two 15mm tires wrapped around 17-inch wheels in the front and over in the rear as well. And then as for the design on the wheels themselves, it's pretty normal for Kia design, but compared to most other cars, it's not. Definitely out there, and it looks really good. A lot of people will pay for aftermarket wheels to look like this, but you get it stock with a lot of Kias, so I think that's really awesome. Now notice you've got the plastic molding that goes around and then down the side of the Seltos. We have our all-wheel drive badge because this particular one is all-wheel drive. You guessed it. And then notice you got the silver right there on the top of the black and the bottom with the mirror. And then other than that, here's your full side view, and notice that you do have the rails there on the top of the roof. Now let's pop into the rear hatch area of the Seltos. So first off, notice that we've got our Seltos floor mats, and then underneath we do have a spare tire. In terms of space, it's actually really good for a smaller sized SUV. And if you do want more space, notice you have those latches there at the top of the rear seats. You can lower those down for a little bit more space. And yeah, other than that, well, see ya. Let's go over the rear of the Seltos. So first off, again, I really like the design here with the taillights. Just look at all of the different intricate elements there on the inside. You've got your Seltos badge, you have your EX badge for the trim package. And then notice how they kind of mimic exhaust tip coverings here on the back. The exhaust is down below, but notice how they make that kind of look like there would be an exhaust in there. I think that is pretty interesting from a design standpoint. And other than that, there's the rest of the rear. Now here's the door panel in the back. So notice that you've got the piano black trim right here, and then you actually get some leather here on the side with stitching to rest your arm. And then notice you have that goes into the door handle, pretty interesting. And then here are the seats in the back. So again, you've got more leather here, perforated leather there in the center portion. We've got these rubber floor mats here down below. We've got a couple vents right there, and then we've got a USB, and then this does pull out to be a cup holder. I'm sure you guys are wondering about the legroom and all that, so I've got the seat where I would have it, and then notice that's the legroom and then headroom. So yeah, overall solid. Let's head to the front. Now here's the door panel at the front. So again, you've got that piano black trim that goes all the way across, and then you've got the metal right there before the door handle. A couple speakers for the sound system. Look at kind of the design there on the speaker, and then the one down below looks pretty interesting. Got your window controls right here, and again, you've got more leather. We're gonna rest your arm with the stitching. And then here are the seats at the front. So again, we've got the perfect leather in the center, really nice bolsters here on the side, power adjustments there on the side. And then you've got the pedal layout down below, stability control right here with the lane departure, your auto stop start. The steering wheel is manually adjustable, and there's one more look before we pop in. Now here's the steering wheel in the Seltos. We've got really soft touch leather all around the steering wheel itself. We've got our pages button there for the center stack, and then this is actually for your lane keep, and then you've got your cruise control on top of that. Voice command phone controls there on the other side, and then notice more piano black trim down below. Got the stock there for the lights and turn signal, windshield wiper stock on the other side, and that's all for the steering wheel. Here's the center stack. First off, that pages button lets you scroll through a couple different menus here on the Seltos just to give you different bits of information. And then the rest of the gauges, notice that they've got an analog setup. And then we do have a couple of different drive modes that we can go through. So we've got our, well, actually more than a couple. But anyways, we got our smart, sport, and normal. And so for example, if we pop it over into the sport mode, notice it'll take a second and then it'll say sport, for example. So pretty seamless setup. Here's the center infotainment system. First off, if we pop into reverse, notice we've got the backup camera with trajectory lines that'll turn with the steering wheel. And then as for the rest of the infotainment system, we've got Android Auto and Apple CarPlay that come with this, which is, I don't know, pretty cool feature. But other than that, it's really easy to use. Response time and everything is really good. So for example, if I press the radio, hopefully the music's not on. Okay, we're good. So that we don't have any copyright infringement. But yeah, good infotainment system, functions well, and yeah, that's all. Down below here, we've got our area for the climate controls. This does have a single zone climate. And then down below that, you've got a little charging area is what I want to call it. You've got a 12 volt USB, all that kind of stuff. And then this is our drive mode select. And then we've got heated seats here for the front passengers. We've got our locker, hill descent control. And then notice that you do have the plus and minus because this does mimic gears even though it is an IVT. And then you've got your shift lock release. Couple cup holders right here, and then we've got our e-brake. We have the center console, which opening that up, you can see storage space in there is really good. And then more piano black trim. We've got our glove box, and yeah, that's all for that area. So let's pop up top here. Notice that we do get a sunroof, and you got the control for the sunroof right there. You've got the light control here on either side. Notice you actually have LED lights here for the interior, and well, that's all. Well, this Seltos sticker's for $26,600, so let's take it out and see how it drives. Let's talk about visibility before we set off here in the Seltos. So first off, you can see visibility over the hood, and then here's through both the mirrors. They do have blind spot monitoring, and then throughout the rest of the rear, and let's set off. We are setting off here in the Seltos EX. We're going to start over here. Actually, we're in the smart mode. We're going to go into the normal mode because I'm sure that's where most of you will be spending most of your time drive mode wise, is just in the normal mode. The smart mode is kind of like your better fuel economy setting, but obviously that is going to give you a little bit less with the throttle response. But actually setting off, how does the Seltos drive? So first off, I really like the feeling of the steering wheel. I definitely prefer this kind of leather to the rougher textured leather you get in some cars. This definitely just, I don't know, I think it's the way to go if someone is going to wrap a steering wheel in leather. But aside from that, ride quality wise, it's actually really smooth. The cabin's relatively quiet, well insulated as well. I put it right where it needs to be in terms of this segment. Braking's really good actually, and when you're not getting on the throttle crazy hard, response is actually pretty good again in this normal mode. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pop it over into the sport mode, and instantly it's at higher RPMs. I can't say that it goes down a gear because it's got an IVT, but it's at higher RPMs now is what it just transitioned to. But aside from that, I mean, it's pretty good, and we'll see how quick the transitions are from a downshift perspective. It's actually pretty responsive, and you guys know what I mean by downshift. Yeah, it's actually pretty responsive with the transitions here with this IVT, which is a really good thing, because a lot of IVTs, a lot of times in CVTs, all that kind of stuff, same thing, they aren't necessarily the most responsive. Wow, that's perfect. Very responsive. I don't think I've ever driven a vehicle, maybe that's why they call it an intelligent variable transmission instead of a continuously variable, because this is so much more responsive. I mean, compared to anyone else out there that's using this, I mean, think like, for example, Subaru. Like, there is not a single Subaru that is this responsive. I mean, look at that downshift. You know what I mean again. And the upshifts, just, it's instantaneous with the response time. Yeah, I've never in my life driven something this responsive that has this type of transmission in it. So whatever wizardry Kia has done on this, it works. And that'll get me to summing things up here with the Seltos. So this is in a pretty interesting segment for SUVs. It's definitely competitive with these smaller SUVs because there's a lot of people out there that they want SUV utility. They want something that's higher up off the ground, so they've got that ground clearance. And like this has the all-wheel drive. A lot of people want that so they can drive in adverse weather conditions and maybe drive down some trails and all that kind of stuff. But they don't want something that gets horrible fuel economy, and they don't want something that's absolutely massive that they can't fit in tight parking spaces and all that kind of stuff. And that's where this segment is becoming more and more popular. It's kind of the type of people that used to buy a car, but they don't really, you know, there's not that many car options out there anymore, and so they just like get pushed over to an SUV. That's kind of what this is all about. And I have to say, stylistically, there's definitely a benefit to going to the Seltos. And by the way, notice that the auto stop start is on, so that that's happening. It's very unique. I wouldn't necessarily call it beautiful, but it's very unique. And so it has its own road presence because of how unique the styling is. I do think this looks pretty good in certain colors. Like there's like a gold color you can get on it that looks just crazy out there, if you ask me. Interior wise, it's very nice considering the price point. The things that I focus on cars in this segment is the touch points. The steering wheel feels nice. The shifter has nice leather on it. That area feels nice. And then the stalks, I mean, pretty much average for the segment. The drive mode select, definitely a nice control, as well as including the climate controls. So all the stuff that you're going to touch on a regular basis definitely feels nicer material wise. So it definitely gives you kind of a more premium feel when you are in the interior. And then from a driving perspective, it's again right where it needs to be in terms of the smoothness with the ride quality. It's definitely more tossable because it's such a small, light SUV. And the acceleration is okay. There is a turbo version if you do want more power. The most impressive part is this transmission. Obviously these transmissions are used because they help out with fuel economy, but this thing is just so smooth with the transitions, and it's very quick. Definitely the best in the business right now. And so yeah, if you are looking for a smaller sized SUV, I would definitely check out the Seltos and put it in manual mode. Like I said, it's responsive. That's gonna sum things up for our video here on this 2021 Seltos in the EX package. And again, a huge shout out and thank you to the Jerry Steiner Kia here in South Salt Lake for giving me some time with the Seltos. Check out the inventory link below. I'll see all of you in the next video.